and welcome to this episode of Unboxing Women, where we explore why women in business are often called such a bitch. My name is Maika Rose, and with me is my friend Rexx, and we are both independent recording artists and singer-songwriters based in Europe. You can listen to us on our YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast platform. Today we are joined by Naomi Jean-Marie, down there for everybody who's watching this on YouTube, a woman who wears many hats. Not only is she a fellow independent artist and singer-songwriter, but she also leads and organises a music project for charity at her local church as a vocal coach in Wembley, London. So that's a huge thing to just kind of throw out there. So why don't you explain, Naomi, what you actually do, why you kind of got into doing that, and kind of your journey in a manner of speaking.
Okay. Hello, everyone, by the way. My journey, it began, rewind back, 5 years now? So after uni, when you just finish uni, it's like, what do you do now? What do? I just got this degree. What do I do with this degree? Yeah. So for me, the most natural step to kind of get myself doing something was to support my church. I'm a pastor's child, so I've grown up in church and I've helped them, just along the way. But now that I came back with this degree, I was like to my dad, can I run a project? And because we are both church and charity, I was able to apply for grants through the church. So the first thing I did... You're
in a special church, aren't you? Like it's what is it, Pentecostal?
Yeah,
was it?
Pentecostal, yeah.
So explain that for a second.
So for those a lot of people, when they hear the word Pentecostal, they think of music, because Pentecostal churches, they love their music. We're very music oriented. Gospel music is normally associated very much with the Pentecostal church. Choirs, big harmonies. That's normally Pentecostal.
Right.
So yeah. I grew up with a lot of music around me. I grew up singing, I grew up harmonizing, grew up writing songs, been a lot of included in a lot of choirs and also directing choirs as well. So that was my background pre uni, and then post uni, I kind of wanted, just to support the church now, but bring in music in a different way to just, church service. I applied to my local council, Brent, which is Brent Council, and I applied to run a music project, and yeah, that was it really. I was successful in getting the money. I was not expecting it. So it was like one of those things where you go, let me try. And then, I've got the money. What do I do now?
You have to do it now.
I didn't expect it.
Like, oh my God, now I need to start planning this.
Exactly that. So it was like I was thrown in the deep end because I had to become an employer and get all these different staff members, organize a curriculum for the children, do promotion, do event planning, do just a whole lot, going around to different schools and having workshops to try and get kids in. So I had to do that whole thing just from the get-go. And it was a bit overwhelming, but I would say that it was the best learning curve for me. And it did help to propel my career forward. Because even to this day, I run a different project, but I've run so many projects over the years now. And I found my love for just the community and for charity work through that one project that I started.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That's really great. Yeah.
I also do backing singing and session work and all the typical kind of music stuff that we do that most singer-songwriters do.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main work that I do is for the community.
And this backing vocals and stuff, is that for artists that we know? Is that in a local studio?
I've done a Rag and Bone Man concert.
Ooh, nice.
I met him, but I didn't back for him, unfortunately. It was his concert, but I backed for the opening artist.
Okay.
His name is Sam Henshaw. He's getting quite big these days. He's growing. he's an artist for Sony. There was another group that I worked for, but I think they've disbanded since then. But I can't remember the name. I think it was a very weird name.
No, I remember you having the backing vocal gigs. Yeah. It was really cool.
Yeah, and they did a BBC. There's something that new artists do to introduce themselves. So they did that BBC event. I've also been on ITV4. I think it's just a UK channel. And Channel 4, I've done a live event for those two. And then also there's a Christian channel called TBN. I've done backing for that as well. So I've done quite a lot of backing.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. Currently, I'm with kind of a Christian band who do some touring here and there. So whenever they're going to maybe Germany, I visited Maika actually in Germany. Oh, and I didn't get to visit you. I wanted to
visit me. No, you didn't even tell me you were.
No. I did. I told you, and I'm pretty sure I told you. Yeah, I did. It was about a year and a half ago now.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
this is before COVID.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been around with them whenever they're doing gigs here and there.
Just short interlude. Naomi and I went to uni together. So
yes,
just for the people who don't know, for the listeners.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's insane. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff you do. I always see how much you work and how busy you are. And it's just insane because I know we all go through this kind of learning curve as, solopreneurs, really, because we have to kind of get gigs in or get stuff in to kind of keep going, and we don't have employers. So just a random question, how did you find, as somebody who has or generally is not employed, I know you've had normal jobs before, but as somebody who's generally not employed, how was it to then become an employer?
It was fun. I'm not going to. It was very fun. One of the things I loved was the interview process. You're behind a desk and there's no pressure on you, to try and do well or to say the right things. But to be on the other side, even things they don't say, just the way they act, the way they present themselves, it sticks in your memory. But what made my interviews more fun were the fact that it was music related. And so I made them bring in their instruments, or I was like, prepare a song. And we found ourselves having a jam. Like even after they finished performing, we'd have a little sing along, or just to interact with them. As me, not having to put on, I'm not the boss hat type of thing. It's just me, Naomi, and I want you to be a part of this project. So I'm going to ask you some questions and just casually like that. I found that I just love that whole process. And then just bonding with them as individuals as the projects went along, and seeing how we communicate and how that develops as well. And, they bring in their friends, or if they need to cover. So I get to network at the same time as a result of it. So that whole part of being an employer was great. I loved it a lot.
And the projects in themselves, was this to teach children how to sing, or what was the goal?
So the first one I did after uni, after I finished uni, it was a music school. So we did a Saturday music school, and it was basically to make each child kind of learn foundationally about the instrument, because some of them came in with no experience, and then get them to write a song and get them to record a song and get them to perform the song. So it was kind of bits here and there. Sorry, Mike.
Recording and everything. Wow.
My whole process.
That's
so
great.
From beginning, from scratch, all the way to performing live.
And how old were they?
So we had, I think it was between the ages of 9 to 16.
Wow. I wish that they had like a project like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, they loved it so much. And they surprise you. Despite their age, they they're so creative and so they grab the horn, the bull by the horns, and they run with it. I think the most important thing is to get them to feel comfortable. Once they feel comfortable, you'll see how much potential they really have. I didn't need to do a lot of, I thought I would need to help them or push them a lot, but I didn't need to do that. I just stood back and watched them kind of just naturally grow into their own artists. So it was great. It was so fun.
That's so amazing. So just a short question there. Did you see any difference? Like, because you had probably boys and girls, like there's always a difference, even when we were in uni, how there were no female instrumentalists and all the girls were singers. And then we had like 3 guy singers in the beginning. How was that there? Like, was there a difference, not just in what instruments they chose, but also in how they interacted in the group and stuff?
You know what? I think first of all, we had a female drum teacher. Ooh, so that kind of set a standard for, there's no limits, whatever you feel like doing, do. One of the students, who was a girl, wanted to do the bass guitar. Cool. So we went for that. So I think I don't think they felt any limitations as to what they should pick based on their gender. They just went for what they wanted to.
That's good. Yeah.
And so it's really cool that you kind of gave them that opportunity, because like if it had been, say, all male teachers for instruments, then that would have maybe set a different kind of message. So that's really cool.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. If you can see it, if you can see yourself, your gender and your color, obviously, as well, in teachers or in heroes like that, then it just makes all the difference to the kids.
Yeah, it does. I think there is something about growing up in London that does help to break those stereotypes as well, because we naturally just grow up with a lot of different cultures. We're surrounded by people from all different backgrounds. And I think generally we do find that there is less limitations around exploration, just because we grow up in London, where it's such a hub of integration. So I think that did help as well.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I was just actually this weekend talking to somebody who had a couple, an older German couple who had lived in London for a couple of years. And they had a friend there who had been living in London for probably decades. And that friend said she would stay in London forever, but she would never live anywhere else in the UK. Because she said it was so nice and cultural, and everybody was accepted in London. And so she, as a German, was then also accepted. And she had the feeling that in other places, not everywhere, obviously, but in other places, that's not the same. And I think London is a very welcoming, diverse atmosphere.
Open-minded. Yeah, I have the same feeling with London as well. When I walk around there, obviously I've had colored hair for a long time, and in London people don't stare at me because of it. So when I'm somewhere else, well, besides like New York or something, obviously that's like it's insane. But anywhere else people kind of like look twice. They're like, oh, her hair is pink, and they kind of look at your hair. But my hair is very close to my face, so they're kind of, it's as if they're looking at me, and they're like, and they're walking past. And then it's like, oh, why are they looking at me? And then it dawns on me, oh, they're not looking at me, they're looking at my hair, But it's very, I don't want to say invasive, because obviously I invite stares with this, so I'm kind of used to it. But when my friend walks along with me, she always says, why are people staring at you? And then she also realizes, oh, it's the hair. And in London, I don't have that at all. People just walk by without looking at me. So it's all kind of more normal and accepted.
Yeah. You know what? I did not even realize you had pink hair until you brought it up. That's how it was. It just went straight over my head. It is great. I love the color. I love it.
Pink hair every day. No, but it's true. London is very, very open-minded like that.
Yeah, it's great.
And I wanted to ask you about the vocal coaching. So you do that as well. Is that like your main source of income, or what? What do you do that with?
Yes and no, actually. Depends. So I do vocal coaching. Yeah, I do both private and I work for schools as well. So I'm a peripatetic teacher. So I go in just to do vocals in different schools. I've got one main school that I work in, but I do also pop in others. So I would say from that source, yes, it's the main, but I do private lessons as well. Okay. I started that just through doing charity work. So from running projects, parents will come up to me and say, "Oh, can you teach my child on the side?" So that happened by accident. It wasn't an intentional thing. But I also grew to learn more about my own voice in teaching and just learn more about the body in general. And you learn your own little tips and tricks here and there that help people, even if you don't know the correct, the language to use. But, when you see that they're making progress and they're learning and they're becoming more confident, I was getting more confident and I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. And then someone asked me, I got a friend who's a teacher and he asked me, do you want to come and do some vocal lessons? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not really like that knowledgeable, but I gave it a go and I've been doing it since. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
You say you're not knowledgeable. You are. Even in uni, you had a really great sense of what you could do with your voice. It's true. It's something I developed in the past 2 years or something, and you had it then. So I can imagine that you're very far along. So like hats off. I think it's really cool.
Thank you. I think sometimes you don't notice things about yourself. Yeah, so I think it was one of those things I didn't know I could until I tried.
Because you can. So it's kind of that one of those things where it just goes to show again. It pulls into our topic of the podcast very well because men assume they can, and women often think they're not as good as they are.
Yeah.
So.
But you are.
I think it's really interesting. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Look at what you've achieved. It's insane. I remember you going through the process of getting those grants, and you just glossed over them right now. You were applying to grants all the time. It was just like some of them went through. And I remember that being an insane amount of work.
Yeah,
so
a lot. Yeah.
Don't belittle that. You deserve your crown.
Sorry. How many people were you? How many people is this about? So how many children do you get in an average project?
Oh, it varies. The first one I specifically limited it because I just didn't want to get overwhelmed.
I can imagine.
And because you're going from scratch to performing, so I had 20 kids altogether that I was working with over the course, I think, of 3 months.
Okay.
Of, working with them. But I've worked with a project with 100 kids.
Whoa.
I've worked with a project 50, 40, 30. It just depends on what type of project it is.
So how many projects have you done so far then?
I've done a lot. So I've not applied for all of them myself. Some of them I get invited to be a part of. There's one that I'm currently working on. We're on a bit of a break, but that one's tackling gun and knife crime. And when we first started, it was just with a woman. She had an idea. I think she had gone through some personal things with gun and knife crime. And so she had a passion for it. So she started a project, and we had about 15 kids at most. And then the Metropolitan Police, which is the main police, the people who take care of the police for us in the UK, they wanted to help us and support us. And there were some shopping malls that we did it at. They wanted to support us. And then now the, what's it called? The FA Stadium, FA, whatever. We didn't even know they were interested in things like gun and knife crime, but aside from sports, they also support work like that. So they joined us, and now it's become a national project because it was only supposed to be for the community.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Metropolitan Police gave us a bus so that we can go tour around and do vocal lessons on the bus. That hasn't started yet. But this is just telling you how.
I remember you talking about this.
Yes,
it's been in the works for a while, hasn't it?
So because of COVID, we had to kind of postpone things. So
I imagine. And when is that starting up now?
We don't know. There's some little,
little,
and we're trying to get some famous people in there. So, we're trying to make it as big as possible because we need, especially this area in London, there's a significant amount of gun and knife crime, and so many families are affected by it. So we want to help youth to kind of stay off the streets, find your love in music and in other things, stay away from the streets. It's just stay away from the streets because that's where it starts. You're hanging around the streets and then you start to get into the wrong crowds. And sometimes they just get hurt from being on the streets. Sometimes it's because they're in the wrong relationships with the wrong people that they get drawn into things that they shouldn't. So we're just trying to, from a young age, tackle that issue so that they grow up not suffering and being a victim of gun and knife crime.
It's great that you're doing that with music, and to bring it back to gender again, and kind of the issues that we've been talking about throughout the podcast so far. So gun and knife crime, are you talking about gangs, or are you also talking about the victims? So the notion that a victim is going to be a woman, especially when it's about mugging or rape or things like that. So does that tie into that, or is this strictly gang related things and so towards men, or is that wrong of me to think that?
So typically, statistically, it is true that most males, you'll find that gangs are made up of mostly males, but it is also a female problem, on both sides, on the ones being victimized and the ones who are,
the perpetrators, let's say.
Yeah, the perpetrators. But on the other hand, I would say that it's also even if you don't have you're not directly being involved in it. Children, they're scared to go out on the street. So this is for both females and males. They're all, actually, before I even get on that point, most victims are actually males as well.
Okay.
Yes, most victims, because they are the ones who normally are. So even if you're not in a gang, if a gang has a problem with another boy, because it's normally guys who are in the gangs, they have a problem with another gang, they go looking out for that person. A lot of the times you'll find that they'll shoot the wrong person just because they look like him.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So well, either way, it's oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah. But then so there's been a lot of schools who have suffered because they go to the school to find the people.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah. I personally know of a boy who was just walking home and got stabbed at school gates. He died running away.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, these gang problems, it's a community problem, isn't it? And I'm sure that everybody in the community wants to have it solved. But on the other hand, it's so great that you're trying to solve this with music and giving them something else to do than hang out on the streets. Yeah.
So it's like now from school, let's bring them into a project, into a safe place.
Yeah.
Don't make them hang out, on the road. So it's both for it's just for the youth. It's for everyone who's growing up in this area, basically.
Yeah, that's really.
And how young do you think that starts?
Oh, it can start from 4 years old or younger.
Wow.
Yes.
Insane.
Yeah. Very young, very young.
Do they hang out with their brothers or something or stuff like that?
Yeah. There's a word for it, right? Grooming. There's a word called grooming or something. So they start them young.
Yeah.
They start them young.
That sounds awful. Yeah. So yeah,
Wow.
I mean, amazing that you're doing this work.
It's such a negative turn. I'm so sorry.
No. It's important to talk about these things, and this is one of the big reasons why you're doing this as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, music. So often, music in and of itself already has like meaning and value, but it's amazing what people can do through music and by using music and introducing people to it. And I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I think also that, I mean, the work that you're doing with that is so important. And some people might do this with like sports or maybe animals or something like that. But music and entertainment, I think, is it finds a special place in everyone's hearts as well. And if that's the tool that you can use to give people a safe place to educate them about the dangers and to not have them fall into that. That way of life, I think that's really valuable. I think that's very valuable.
And the thing is, it's like you're using what you know to try and connect with them. So for me, it's not just about teaching them vocals or how to write a song. It's about forming a relationship, because then they start to open up with you, and then you start to give them advice. Then you start to help them. And from there, you find that you'll know them as they grow up. You'll be able to always input into them guidance and help, even if they don't themselves continue learning music or playing an instrument. But it was that doorway to form that relationship and that connection.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Very important.
I have 2 more questions for you.
Okie dokie.
Yes. So first question would be, what would you say to somebody who's trying to start something like this, to grow a project like this or something similar? What would your advice for them be for the beginning?
I would say if you're going to start, see it through to the end. Because when you're doing projects like this, you can grow weary, especially when you're new to this. I was lucky because I got money on the first time of applying. So it helped me a lot. But sometimes you'll find that you'll get a lot of, what's it called? Unsuccessful applications. You may also find that there aren't a lot of attendees. Sometimes you'll have 2 people come, and then it takes a long time to build up. But I think if you have a heart for it, the best way to show that you have a heart for it is to stay there and to keep on trying, do what you can and then enjoy what happens no matter what. That's what I would say. Yeah.
That's great advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. And so the second question is something that we ask all of our guests here is, have you ever been called such a bitch?
Dun, dun, dun.
I have not. I feel like I would have wanted to say yes, to be honest, just so that I can. No, I haven't, unfortunately. However, I do know what it's like to be a female in the industry. I do feel that. As a backing singer, the first 2 gigs I got was because of the way that the females look. So the female didn't look right for the part. They had a better voice than me, had more experience than me, but simply because of the way they looked, they were fired and I was brought in. So I know. And then that pressure to maintain an image, to be like, oh, do I look good? It wasn't about the voice, unfortunately. It wasn't about the talent. It was about the look. So as a female, I went into the industry feeding the pressure to look feminine, to look put together. And that's not naturally me, if I'm honest. I like my pajama bottoms, but I had to, really do I had to buy a lot of clothes, had to buy makeup, had to try and learn things so that I could look the part.
Okay, sorry, but you know how to do makeup. That's
I lost that a long time ago, Maika.
Okay.
I'm an all natural gal these days, so I've lost my touch.
And this is for a backing singer position?
Yes, a backing, exactly.
And you had to buy the clothes yourself?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's so weird.
Yes.
Yeah. But I remember you saying that, was this the girl that was fired because she was white?
Yes. Yes. Right. I didn't want to try and say too much just in case.
No, I'm sorry.
She was white.
If you do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's because I remember you telling me that, and I think it's insane how it goes, like like you said, with looks. Just the look wasn't right, so it's really you're a commodity at that point.
Yes, yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Some people would say fair enough, they're paying, but it is really interesting to observe.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very much not surprised that you've never been called a bitch, because you're one of the nicest people I know. So that doesn't surprise me. And I'm very happy that is the case.
Yes.
I'll update you guys as things go on. You never know. You never know.
No, you never know. Oh, the thing is, though, if somebody ever calls you a bitch, you're going to.
Oh, yeah. You know, I've got two sides to me.
The thing is, though, she never shows her bad side, ever, unless somebody goes too far.
Well, there you go. Maybe
I've seen it once, and
maybe
I've known you
afraid.
for what now? 7 years?
Yeah, more. I think more than that.
No, I think it's 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all for today then. And I want to thank everybody for tuning into Unboxing Women today. Be sure to connect with us on our socials, which you can find in the show notes. Let me just pull up the banner. It's very important. You can send us a DM or let us know your personal experiences with the hashtag #SuchABitch. Today's guest has been Naomi. Thank you very much for coming on the show. It was great to have you.
Thank you.
And so all of Naomi's projects will be in the show notes. Be sure to check them out. Don't forget to support your favorite artists through merch or donations. And my name is Rexx, and we've been chatting with Naomi and Maika Rose. Tune in to another episode of Unboxing Women next week. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.